Let me take you to a quiet cul-de-sac where the birds chirp, the hedges are trimmed just right, and the people wave. Until one woman decided to bring in a bulldozer. Yeah, you heard that right, a literal bulldozer rolling down a suburban street, just to destroy what she called an unauthorized structure. That structure? A wheelchair ramp. This wasn't just any ramp. It was the only way a woman named Emily, who suffers from a severe neuromuscular disorder, could enter or exit her home safely. And the person who ordered its demolition, a power-hungry HOA president named Karen. Yes, really, who believed the ramp violated aesthetic harmony. She didn't issue a warning, didn't check the ADA laws, didn't even knock on the door. She just brought in a contractor and tore it down. In broad daylight, with neighbors watching, with security cameras rolling. But here's the kicker. Karen had no idea who she was messing with. Emily? She's not just any homeowner. She's also the sister of the sitting governor of the state. And when the news reached his office, let's just say, Karen's little HOA kingdom crumbled faster than the ramp she bulldozed. This is the story of how one woman's cruelty backfired in the worst possible way, and how justice rolled in even harder than her bulldozer. Let's rewind to where it all started. Emily Carter had always been a fighter. Born with spinal muscular atrophy, she'd spent her entire life navigating a world not built for people like her. But you'd never hear her complain. She had a soft smile, a strong heart, and a deep love for painting, animals, and peace. When her health worsened and her mobility declined, she moved into a small single-story home just outside the city, somewhere quiet, with trees, flowers, and a porch for her to paint on. It was the kind of place where birds visited each morning and neighbors shared tomatoes over the fence. She had a ramp installed so she could get in and out using her electric wheelchair. A smooth wooden structure with handrails, painted beige to match the house. Her brother, Governor Michael Carter, paid for the ramp himself, ensuring it met every legal and accessibility requirement under the ADA. Emily didn't ask for attention. She wasn't loud. She followed every HOA rule, trimmed her hedges, painted her shutters the regulation shade of autumn walnut. Her yard was clean. Her garbage bins were always tucked away. But none of that mattered to Karen. From the moment Emily moved in, Karen, the HOA president, decided she didn't belong. Maybe it was the wheelchair. Maybe it was that Karen didn't like changes to her neighborhood. Maybe it was jealousy. But she watched Emily like a hawk, constantly nitpicking. First, it was the wind chimes. Then, the color of the bird feeder. Then, the ramp. Karen sent passive-aggressive letters. Then fines. Then threats of legal action. Emily tried to comply. She even painted the railings, added decorative planters. But the real problem wasn't the ramp's appearance. It was that someone like Karen thought she had the right to erase people who made her uncomfortable. Emily didn't want to fight, but she was about to be dragged into one. Karen Lansing wasn't just a homeowner. She was a self-proclaimed community enforcer. She'd lived in Pinewood Estates for 10 years and had ruled the HOA for 8. She treated her role like she was mayor of a small dictatorship. Clipboards, walkie-talkies, and unannounced inspections included in a one challenged her. Most neighbors just wanted to be left alone. But Karen thrived on control. If your grass was too tall, you got a warning. If your trash bins were out an hour too early, you got a fine. If you painted your mailbox the wrong shade of taupe, expect a hearing. She believed in visual unity. That meant no bright flowers, no custom house numbers, and definitely no accessory structures. Her favorite phrase in board meetings. When Emily's ramp appeared, Karen saw it as an act of war. Never mind that it was legal. Never mind that it was necessary. Karen claimed it hadn't been pre-approved by the HOA Design Committee, which, conveniently, she chaired. She sent an official violation letter. Emily responded with documentation, ADA approval, doctor certification, and a permit from the city. Still, Karen insisted it was unacceptable. She wanted it shorter, smoother, invisible, if possible. When Emily refused, Karen escalated. She called for a vote to remove the ramp entirely, citing property value concerns. The other board members hesitated, but Karen was persuasive. She printed out photos, claimed it was a safety hazard, said it invited liability. She even suggested Emily was using her disability as a shield to ignore the rules. It was disgusting. And the worst part, she didn't stop there. One morning, Karen showed up with a contractor. No warning, no letter, just a hired crew and a bulldozer. Emily was inside, alone, watching her ramp get torn apart, piece by piece. She cried. She screamed. She called the police. But by the time they arrived, the damage was already done. Karen tried to spin it. Of course, when the police arrived, she claimed it was an emergency removal due to a structural concern. Said the ramp was dangerous, that she had authority under the HOA bylaws to take immediate corrective action. The contractor backed her up, clearly coached. He showed a fake invoice claiming an urgent repair order. Emily showed the officers her paperwork, but they couldn't do much on the spot. It became a civil matter. The neighborhood was in shock. Several residents saw what happened. One neighbor even filmed the demolition from their window. The video showed Karen standing proudly with her arms crossed as the bulldozer smashed the ramp. That video hit Facebook by nightfall, and the comment section exploded. How is this legal? She destroyed a disabled woman's only way in and out. This has to be criminal. Where's the governor when you need him? Karen, of course, doubled down. She posted in the neighborhood app, claiming she was acting in the best interest of the community. She labeled Emily as non-compliant and accused her of using politics to skirt HOA rules. But Emily hadn't even told anyone who her brother was. Not yet. Karen still thought she had the upper hand. She assumed Emily was powerless, that she could bully her into silence, the way she had so many others. But this wasn't over. Emily had friends, neighbors, witnesses, and now, a video with thousands of shares. The next morning, her phone rang. It was her brother, the governor, and everything changed after that. The footage went viral within hours. To Emily's brother, Governor Michael Carter, didn't even hesitate. He cleared his schedule, got on a call with his legal team, and drove straight to Emily's neighborhood. He showed up in person. No security, no press. Just a furious brother looking out for his sister. By the time he arrived, reporters were already setting up on the lawn. A neighbor had leaked the video to a local news station. HOA destroys disabled woman's wheelchair ramp. Ran on every screen by lunchtime. Michael saw the damage with his own eyes. The splintered wood, the torn-up ground, the tire tracks on the lawn. Emily sat inside, humiliated and terrified. But when she saw him walk through the door, she broke down. He hugged her. Then he stood up, walked outside, and faced the cameras. This is not just an act of cruelty, he said. This is a violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act, and it will be dealt with accordingly. Karen, meanwhile, was still trying to maintain her image. She refused interviews, sent out a statement calling the governor's presence politically motivated. She even tried accusing Emily of staging the situation for sympathy. But that didn't work. By that evening, the state attorney general had announced an investigation. The city planning office released a statement confirming Emily had a valid permit. The ADA office launched a civil rights inquiry. Karen was about to lose a whole lot more than her reputation. Behind the scenes, Michael Carter pulled every legal string he could find. He didn't use his power to bully. He used it to expose corruption and protect the people his sister represented. And he quickly discovered that Karen's bulldozing stunt was just the beginning. Turns out, Karen had been abusing HOA funds for years. She paid contractors off the books, overcharged for neighborhood upgrades, even used HOA money to renovate her own backyard. An emergency audit uncovered thousands of dollars in undocumented expenses, all tied back to Karen's signature. Meanwhile, Emily's story gained national attention. Disability rights activists rallied behind her. Politicians tweeted in support. A GoFundMe to rebuild her ramp raised $80,000 in a day. Karen tried to go silent. Then she tried to lawyer up, but it was too late. The governor filed a formal complaint through the state housing board. The contractor who bulldozed the ramp flipped under pressure, saying Karen had paid him in cash to avoid permits. She had no cover left, no allies. The HOA board voted unanimously to remove her as president. Several residents called for the entire HOA to be dissolved. Emily? She kept quiet. She didn't need to gloat. Justice was doing all the talking now. Karen was now facing a multi-pronged nightmare. First came the civil lawsuit from Emily. With the ADA violations, emotional trauma, and property damage, the numbers weren't in Karen's favor. Her lawyer tried to settle, but Emily's team pushed forward. They wanted this public. Second, the state housing board banned Karen from serving on any HOA board in the state for life. Third, the contractor's confession triggered a criminal investigation into unlicensed work and misuse of HOA funds. The IRS even opened a case. News vans lined the streets for days. HOA residents were furious. Their property values weren't just affected, they were on national news as the neighborhood that bulldozed a disabled woman's ramp. Karen's own neighbors stopped speaking to her. Some even moved out. The ramp was rebuilt, better, stronger, and more beautiful. A local builder donated his time. The community came together for the first time in years. That as for Emily, she remained humble, quiet. She thanked her supporters online and used the GoFundMe funds to create a small nonprofit that advocates for disabled homeowners facing HOA discrimination. And her brother? He quietly pushed through a new piece of legislation, Emily's Law, strengthening ADA protections for homeowners and making it illegal for any HOA to modify or remove accessibility features without a court order. That one act sealed Karen's fate permanently. In the months that followed, Pinewood Estates changed drastically. Karen sold her house and disappeared. The HOA dissolved. The neighborhood voted to replace it with a simple community board. No fines, no bullying, no dictatorship. People started talking again, planting flowers, hanging wind chimes, reclaiming their freedom. The bulldozer incident became a turning point, not just for the neighborhood, but for the state. Other HOAs began reevaluating their rules, some even adopting Emily's Law proactively. It took one terrible act to reveal years of quiet abuse. And it took one brave woman and her powerful but loving brother to put an end to it. This isn't just a story about an HOA gone too far. It's a story about how people, when pushed, push back harder. About the quiet strength of someone who doesn't want to fight, but won't be walked over. About family. About justice. About standing up, even in a wheelchair. Karen thought she could tear down a ramp and get away with it. Instead, she tore down her entire empire, and in its place, a stronger, kinder, more accessible community than ever before.